implementation of right to information law. Access to information has the potential to positively transform the lives of people in our countries. It can help all of us to access services. It can help us make use of other socio-economic rights, and it can help us to meaningfully benefit and participate in our economies. The passing of an access to information law is an important step towards unlocking the benefits of access to information, but it does not automatically translate into more transparency and an open government. While there is no one-size-fits-all solution, there are general elements you should consider: an enabling environment, demand, institutional capacity, oversight, action plan. In an early assessment, you should find out how to address these best in your country and what needs particular attention. Enabling environment for the right to information. Legal framework. It is important to make sure that the wider legal framework enables access to information. That means laws that make it difficult to access information of public interest will have to be reviewed, changed, or repealed. Overall laws and policies should create a legal environment that facilitates access to information. Collaboration. The different actors need to all assume their respective responsibilities and work together. Strong civil society has to engage government and help citizens to take ownership of the law. Awareness raising and mobilizing support. Everyone needs to understand why access to information is important and how it can transform their lives. Therefore, you should identify and target your messages and actions at specific groups. This might mean that you have to be able to explain and illustrate how your access to information law influences the different groups that need convincing. Also, think about the most effective way to reach those groups. Say you need to convince people at grassroots level in remote areas. Explain how the effective use of the right to information law can help them access services such as water, for example. They will have a right to find out what the government's plans are to making water available. And how do you reach them best? Maybe it would be via radio or reaching out via church groups. Demand for information and public awareness. If no one requests information, government will not invest human and financial resources towards the implementation and usage of an access to information law. Also, the best way to test and improve the mechanisms to access information is by actually using them. For that to be possible, it is important on the one hand that public and relevant private institutions let the public know what kind of information they hold. On the other hand, the public or citizens need to be encouraged to request information. Civil society and the media can help with that. Institutional capacity. Institutions need to get ready to be able to comply with an access to information law. That means public as well as relevant private institutions need to put systems in place to allow for effective access to information. They need to manage the information they have. They need to find a system to process the requests they get in order to comply with deadlines that might be set out in the law, but also because it will be very frustrating if requests aren't responded to in a timely manner. Proactive disclosure. One very cost-effective solution to making information available is what is referred to as proactive disclosure. Instead of waiting to be overwhelmed with requests, public and private institutions can find ways to manage and publish relevant information regularly and make them available to the public. It is important that the information is relevant and updated and reaches the targeted audiences. So, we must also consider which channels we use to proactively disclose information. For example, websites can be a very efficient and important way to make information accessible, but not all people in our countries have access to online information. So we need to work with others to make our information really accessible or use additional channels such as radio. Oversight, monitoring and enforcing compliance. If an access to information law is supposed to be effective, there need to be mechanisms to make sure public institutions are actually complying. They could, for instance, be forced to submit regular reports. This could be done in the form of an annual report that could be submitted to an oversight body. The oversight body should, in turn, produce a central report on the state of implementation of the right to information in your country. Action plan. Concrete steps when a law has been passed. Every environment and country has different needs and information priorities. It is important that you assess and plan for what is needed most and in which order to best implement your access to information law. For that, you will need a plan of action. It should be clear what needs to be done, by whom, and in which time frame, and how you can monitor what is being achieved. Within government, every institution itself should monitor and evaluate how well they are doing with their action plan. At the same time, there should be a body that will take the responsibility for implementation overall. That body could also check centrally if the commitments made in an action plan are being met. Results could be published to encourage compliance. Allocate responsibility to specific staff. Every public body or relevant private body should designate one individual or a group to be responsible for dealing with requests for information. That person can also make sure that the way requests are dealt with is in line with the law. That person or group needs to be trained to be able to do that. You will have to plan resources for that. The transition to an open society and government is not going to be an easy one, but it can, in the end, benefit everyone. It is important, especially in the beginning, that you have made a plan for effective implementation. If the first experience people have when they request information is a good one, they will be encouraged to use the system. This can improve relationships with the public, build trust, and enhance public engagement. Along the same lines, civil society organizations and media professionals can help promote the law by using it and helping to make it known by creating public awareness. In the end, all these actions are important to create a conducive environment for transparency and public accountability and for the successful implementation of an access to information law.